What up, everybody? I'm your host, JP, and this is my co-host, Josh.
Hey, everybody.
And welcome back to another episode of the FilmBros podcast. We got a movie for you guys. A review of sorts. Something interesting. Something that was put on my radar by Josh.
Yeah. My first recommended movie. That's a cool thing to say.
Yeah, he recommended this movie to me, and I don't know how I feel. I don't know if you hate me. I don't know if that you have beef. I don't know if there's a problem, but you recommended this movie to me, and it's I felt like it was personal. Yeah.
What? No, this was a good movie. I think you're tripping.
I didn't say anything. I just said.
No, clearly,
I feel like you
feel
attacked
like
me today. I felt like assaulted by the film recommendation you gave me.
Why? You see, I'm assuming it's because you didn't like it.
I guess that's the way that's gonna be, needed to be seen. But this movie was an interesting watch. I think it played with some thoughts. I think it made leaps that didn't really stick, in my opinion. But for the most part, I thought it was a fun time. I like the actors that were in it, and I like certain aspects about it. But before we dive in any deeper into it, this is a spoiler review, and Josh, if you want to let them know what we're going to be reviewing today.
Leave the World Behind 2020.
I went online this morning and I rented us a beautiful house out by the beach. I figured if I made the reservation and packed our bags, it would eliminate most of the reasons to say no.
Oh, this is nice. Kids look so happy.
The Wi-Fi isn't working. Get a pad.
I'm so sorry to bother you, but this is our house.
This is your house?
We were driving back to the city, then something happened.
You want to stay here, but we're staying here.
We need to get them out of here.
I need to think everything's gonna be okay.
Everything is gonna be okay, isn't it?
We are seeing ongoing cyber attacks across the country.
So Leave the World Behind. It came to us by Netflix, via Netflix. Netflix put out another film that, may or may not have went off your radar. I never heard of it. How did you hear about this movie?
It was recommended to me on Netflix. It was I think it came out the day I watched it, and then I was just looking for something to watch, and I seen this. I was like, oh shit! I think I've seen a trailer of it beforehand, and I was like, I can't believe it finally made it out. And then I saw Mahershala Ali in it and Ethan Hawke and all that. I was like, oh, I gotta check this out.
So you've seen the trailer before you saw the trailer on Netflix when it was out,
Yeah.
Okay, so you knew this was coming up because I don't think I've seen the trailer.
I think
for this.
it was like way back when I seen it, and then it kind of just forgot about it, and then Netflix was just like, here you go, and I was like, okay.
Hey man, here's a little Christmas gift for you. So Leave the World Behind is a thriller type of film. On Rotten Tomatoes, as of time of recording, it's at a 75% on the fresh meter, with an audience score of 35%.
I don't understand the disconnect there.
Maybe I can help you with that. I think there's some good. Maybe there's some things that you could tell me that could make me see this movie in a different light. Maybe there's some things that you can help me out with, because I watched this movie and I couldn't bring myself to bring it to see it a second time. I'm gonna tell you why I couldn't bring myself around. I feel as if this movie was so simple to tell that they just made us jump through hoops just so they could say, hey man, we made a movie. But I feel like the whole premise was pretty simple.
What? No, I think you're underplaying it a little bit. There's no way. Okay. I don't think so. Yeah, 35%. I don't understand that. I was trying to read some of the reviews before we started because I pulled it up, and I was just like, what are these? What the fuck? Where's the disconnect? And I think a lot of people are just like, they're trying to think of, they were trying to like see that Netflix was trying to do something deep, and they just didn't like that it was trying to be deep or something like that. Like that first one right there, that first green one.
First green one. Netflix satire on Netflix has already been done, and done far better in Black Mirror Season 6. in the end, leave the world behind his content to blandly shrug in the direction of a amorphous calmity, reaching for a profanity that it fails to achieve. I'm trying to read. I'm reading the. Let me read a good one to see if there's a contrast. This one says, whatever one takes away from it, leave the world behind should trigger conversation beyond whether to hit the like button. By that measure, give Esmail credit for the movie that up, down, or sideways makes it hard to look away. Okay, I don't understand. I could kind of see the disconnect. And Sam Esmail is the director of this movie. I'm not sure what other movies he's made. Let me see. Risk, Comet, Mr. Robot. Oh, he was a producer on Mr. Robot. Yeah.
I think that, so then it's either that it was really good to where it pulled people in and actually kept the suspense, or other people were just like, probably like you, where you were like, oh, it's over. It's like trying to be dramatic, but there's nothing to be dramatic about.
That's not what I think. I think
that's what it sounded
like. When I watch a movie, when I'm watching this movie, okay, there was. All right, so okay, let's give us the breakdown of the movie real quick before we jump into this.
Ethan Hawke and his family. That's not his character's name, obviously.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I gotta give you the cast.
Yeah, the character. Huh?
Yeah. So, Amanda Sanford is Julia Roberts. Mahershala Ali is G.H. Scott. Ethan Hawke is Clay Sanford. Mila is Ruth Scott. Farrah McKenzie is Rose Sanford. Charlie Evans, Archie Sanford. Kevin Bacon plays Danny, and then the list goes on and on and on.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Julie Roberts plays Amanda. Clay, Ethan Hawke is her husband. She decides that she wants to take her family on a vacation, so they rent out a home. And the home in question is GH's home, aka that's Mahershala Ali's character. The vacation suddenly called to an end when they show up. Mahershala Ali's character and his daughter show up, and they're like, "Oh, there's a crisis or something going down in the city. We decided to come back home. Everything seems shady. They don't know what is what or what's going down in the city, but they know that it's been on lockdown and things like that, so they were forced to come back." And so it's played on the fact that it's either a man-made problem or a catastrophe, natural catastrophe, and we kind of go through the motion through the movie, and then by the end of it, we figure out what it is. But I don't want to spoil that yet. So,
okay, all right. Did we find out what it is?
Yeah,
kind of.
What do you mean, kind of? Yeah, we did.
Did we?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
I ain't see it, but let's go ahead. Let's start breaking it down how we usually do. Well, let me get to my point first. Let me go ahead and bring that back since
we gotta do. You're jumping the gun, man. I think you're ready to shit on this movie.
I'm not.
You gotta do.
That,
you gotta do
honestly,
initial thoughts.
I'm trying to like get myself on a leash. Well, that's what I'm gonna get at. This is gonna be my initial thoughts, and then I'll go ahead and I'll hear your initial thoughts. So my initial thoughts on this movie is that this movie has such a light premise to it, and something that we've seen before, in my opinion. Like we understand people are shit. We understand eventually we're gonna turn against each other. We understand that it's gonna be hard to trust when things unknown are happening to you, and it's something that we understand. We get that. The thing about this movie, when they try to deliver you that premise, is that one, they stop there. They stop at that premise. Is that what happens when you can't trust people? And then this whole movie, it's like come here, come look over this corner real quick. You're about to get your answer, and then boom, there's more movie. And then it's like, oh no, come here, you're about to get another answer, and then boom, there's more movie.
That's what suspense is.
No. Hold on. And I understand suspense, but suspense is supposed to add value to the end of the movie. Everything that happened made zero sense. Deers coming up. What the fuck? What does the deers have to do with anything? There's explosions. There's a loud siren that's emitting radiation. There's something being dropped saying that it's from different countries. They think it's from a certain country, but no, it's apparently all the countries that wrapped up together. It's mind games, so they can make people tear themselves apart from the inside. Nobody knows. By the end of the movie, you don't know. You don't know what happened. You don't know what's going on, and they just keep adding more wood to the fire, but then forget the gasoline to light that bitch up. And like I said, it's a premise that we've seen before, but we've seen it and seen the tail end where like it adds something. So like you go from not being able to trust each other to what happens after that. Are you better off without them? Are you better with them? Are you not? They played with that idea like, oh, we're going to see if they make it or not. And then they just completely threw it to the curb. By the end of the movie, you're left baffled about like what the fuck is even happening in this movie. The best thing was that Tesla product placement, but that's about it.
No.
What's your initial thoughts?
I think you're
what did you think when you finished the movie?
I liked it. I remember leaving, like, I called you up and I was like, I love this fucking movie. Like, it came out really good.
Yeah.
Had me on the edge of my seat for all of it, basically. I don't understand where your disconnect was.
It had me on the edge of my seat for, like, I think the first two corner pops. And then after that, I was like, man, you guys just keep slinking me along, and here I am still watching the movie because I was curious on where it was going to end up. I ain't going to lie, there was that sense of curiosity at the end of everything. Maybe it was the acting that was really driving it through. We'll probably get into that, but there was a certain curiosity that piqued it. And by the end of it, I was like, well, I should have not been nosy. Let this be a lesson.
No.
Don't be nosy.
I kind of enjoyed it. I think from beginning to end, it really had me. And then, like I said, I liked it by the end of it.
By the end of it, you really were hyped about it?
Yeah.
And you understood everything?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe you can explain to me as we go down and let me know from the questions that I have and the things that I may bring up. So, first things first, let's go ahead and let's start with the characters. Like I said before, it was Ethan Hawke as Clay Sanford, Julia Roberts as Amanda Sanford, Mahershala Ali as G.H. Scott, Mayala as Ruth Scott, Farrah McKenzie, Rose Sanford, Charlie Evans, Archie Sanford, and then et cetera, Kevin Bacon, all them. Which a big letdown on the Baconator right there, man. I say it right now, big letdown on the Baconator right now. I was hoping to see a little bit more of Kevin Bacon.
Me too.
I seen him in the beginning of the movie, and then we just did not again. And I was like, well, what the fuck? Why get a big name actor if you're just gonna be like 2 minutes of screen time?
Because I mean, Mahershala Ali's a big actor, and so is Ethan Hawke.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you guys are spending all the check over there. I mean, a 2-minute cameo from Kevin Bacon. What is he gonna start?
2-minute cameo? Did you miss he was up there at the end?
Yeah, for like another extra additional 1 minute.
No, he was
on screen. He was there on screen in the beginning for 20 seconds, just loading his truck up, and then at the end of the movie, he's there for 2 minutes.
No. You're downplaying it. There's no way. He was there for like the good final act of it, and then
the final act wasn't even that long. That whole section where they show up wasn't even like a long section. It felt long. It felt long because that was a 2-hour movie. They kept stringing you along over and over and over and over again.
Characters.
It's like a bad girlfriend.
Anyway, characters.
All right, go ahead.
I kind of liked everybody here. The only ones I didn't really care for was the daughter. It was supposed to be Ethan Hawke's kid.
Yeah, the little bastard.
That's probably the only thing I didn't understand, but I mean, probably more on that later. But her, and then I think Mahershala Ali's daughter too. Like, I didn't understand why she had beef with the mom.
Because they were white, and she was a Karen. I understood that part. I was like, yeah, systemic racism in Netflix movies. All right.
No. Well, I mean, maybe. But either way, that's still like a lame reason because she was hostile from the jump.
Yeah, because they were a white family, and she knew something was happening. Obviously, she was uptight because of her mother and all that stuff, but she had an understanding that it was them against the world, and having white people in the mix with that was something that she even said it too in the movie. Like, anybody else, red flag, but white people, it's a double red flag for them.
I think the only ones I really cared about were probably the big name people: Mahershala Ali, Ethan Hawke, the wife, I forget her name, Julia Roberts, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, when Kevin Bacon showed up, that was cool. But other than that, I think those three had probably the best chemistry with everybody on set.
I liked Ethan Hawke's character, and I liked when Mahershala Ali would interact with people. I loved his acting in this movie. I think his character was great. I think when he delivered his performance, it was amazing. Julia Roberts, she was cool too. Obviously, she's a talented actress as well. Ethan Hawke was like pretty much giving his all in this movie too. I believe. I don't think he really shortchanged it. The whole daughter and son thing. I like their dynamic. It's just the whole daughter thing threw me off too. I didn't understand the whole why is the deer okay with her and why is she able to walk up, and then I understand by the end of it what happened. Like her life was so perfect, she just couldn't handle whatever happened. That's kind of like the it's a child mentality, but it's like the rich person's mentality where it's like, oh, I'm gonna do whatever I can to survive and keep the little bit of things that I have, the niceties. And the ending was perfect for her. I just thought she was a little bastard by the end of it. I was like, damn, I'd whoop the shit out of that kid, 100%.
That's the one that was Ethan Hawke's kid.
Yeah.
I understand most of what was going on. That's what I was assuming with the deer, that she was just childlike wonder, and so they were friendly with her. She was friendly with them and trying to lead them toward somewhere safe, I guess. And that's the thing, the whole migration patterns that they said was happening or whatever. I understand most of that. And then, I don't know. Say the son also, Ethan Hawke's character has a son, but he's obnoxious and annoying. I found him kind of annoying. He had funny moments, but I didn't really care for his character.
I didn't care for him.
And then that's why by the end of it, they like throw him into something dangerous, and you're kind of like, well, I don't really care if he lives.
I mean, I think he deserves it. He was sneaking pictures by the pool like a second ago.
That's true. And then I don't know. Maybe it's because we have sisters, and I don't know if they wrote a good brother and sister dynamic.
I think they did, because I felt like it was today's society kind of brother and sister, right? You have the sister that is off in her own little world because she has her tablet, whatever. She's so hooked to the show. This is all she cares about. She cares about her electronics, and then him, all he cares about is his girlfriend or what's happening next, or how to get obviously his rocks off and shit like that. Like, he's a teenage boy.
Like, even when they talk to each other, it didn't feel like siblings.
I didn't even think that they spoke to each other that often. I thought they were just so self-absorbed. They kind of
they spend the whole good chunk of the middle of the movie in the forest together.
You say chunk, but it was like 10 minutes in a 2-hour movie. They were in the woods for like 10 minutes. It wasn't even that bad.
I feel like you were not watching this movie.
I was watching the movie. The thing is that it was a 2-hour movie for no reason. They drug out a lot of things that could have probably been cut down. My thing is that even like, let's say like the son's character, I would have probably liked them a little bit more if they cut out all that unnecessary shit where he was taking pictures and everything like that. And obviously they already had the distrust in the house. Why didn't they give him the illness that he had a little bit sooner, and then actually show some repercussions of let's say going off to go figure things out on your own, because that's what Ethan Hawke's character went to go do. And then the mom being selfish and so blinded by her arrogance that she couldn't understand that her family was being hurt right underneath her. That would have toyed with a lot more emotions and would have had a little bit more payoff. But by the end of the movie, it was like, nah, everybody's still good. They just, shit's happening outside.
That's not it at all.
That's exactly what happened.
No.
Probably.
No, but I think all the characters here were kind of decent, better than decent. And, the ones I didn't really care for didn't really have the writing or screen time to back them up. So I was kind of like, that's fine.
Yeah, that's another thing, too. Kevin Bacon. That was just my thing.
I liked him for his little role. He did pretty good.
I liked him too. It's just I was hoping that we're gonna see him more. I was hoping that we're gonna get that, obviously that crazy hermit, I told you so moment, and by the end of it, I was just like, well, why wasn't he thrown in the mix? I would have liked to see Kevin Bacon rattling up the cage, that way, where he was the one maybe adding information, so like let's say they had like a fucking radio or something, and then it turns out that he was the one giving out information or misinformation because he was trying to figure it out or something, you know?
Yeah.
And then that would have really nailed that would have really nailed down that thing that they were trying to deliver was you can't really trust people, right? And if he was the most paranoid and most prepared, and even he got it wrong, wouldn't that have like hammered it in a little bit better in a way?
Oh yeah, no. But even then, like I said, he was paranoid to the point where he believed it. An average family isn't going to pay attention to all that stuff. He wasn't average, obviously. He was a hermit. And then Mahershala Ali's family, rich, probably wasn't going to care either way. They weren't paying attention to anything. So I guess there's that whole connect about like where in the society class you pay attention to that kind of thing. But I mean, for the most part, Ethan Hawke's family was just average.
No, I feel that. I felt they're all okay. I think they all had their own complexities that didn't really manifest, and I think that's why some of their characters fell short. That's literally the best definition I can give for this movie when it comes to the characters, because Mahershala Ali's character kind of goes through a full resolution arc. Ethan Hawke's character he starts getting an arc, and then he's put to the side for a second, and then he's brought back and doesn't really have an arc besides supporting his wife, because now his wife has this arc all of a sudden. You know, like, it felt like we kept swapping in between, but we didn't really get a finalized character arc from a good chunk of these characters. The son was able to get medication. I mean, that's something.
Yeah. If that would have happened sooner, I would have liked to see if he like croaked or not.
Yeah, that was something that would have been nice to know.
But I don't know. I don't think I share that sentiment either, though. Like, I think they all kind of had their own kind of arc together. The wife and the daughter end up making up or whatever. Ethan Hawke's kid gets to see what she wanted to see. The son gets to live, quote unquote, live. We don't know if he does. Yeah, Ethan Hawke's character, he regresses only by the end because he was probably not. I mean, he was the weakest link. He was the most trusting one in the beginning and things like that. And then when put up against the rope and stuff, he stuck out and did what he knew how to do, but in his own way, I guess.
Yeah.
And then
was big.
Mahershala Ali's character, well, I mean, he was probably the most like rounded out one, I think.
Yeah, I think he's the one that got like the full arc.
Yeah,
which is insane because he wasn't in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, no.
Okay, I mean, characters were decent. What about the world building aspect in this movie? Now, I don't think sequels are going to be made, but I think they did a good job with establishing that, you know, the world that they're in wasn't normal, and I think that's about it. So,
well, yeah, when you're confined to a house with no way to like look out to what's happening, I think they did pretty well to say like, hey, something's off, but you can't really see it, which it comes to the whole mystery and suspense aspect, and being like, well, we know something's wrong, we just can't see it because we're all confined in this house.
Yeah, I kind of enjoyed that. I think the whole not knowing what was happening was I think the whole not showing everything was the reason why it kept me hooked in. Because even when Ethan Hawke had left, and you know, it was kind of like a ways down with an open road, and then next you know, you see this plane coming at you or whatever. Like, they really made you feel like what's that show called or movie? Like, Under the Dome, Stephen King's Under the Dome. That's what it kind of felt like.
Yeah,
like you were in this world, but you just felt smaller, if that makes sense. So yeah. I did enjoy kind of like the world building. I think the director did a good job, at least with that part in mind, was that, okay, how are we going to fill up this world that you don't really see with danger and make you feel like there's something out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, yeah. So I think it did pretty well. Obviously, I don't see a sequel coming down the line, but I think they did pretty good world building wise, especially with the premise of them just, like I said, being confined and whatnot. It really pushed the idea of like you kind of don't know what's going on without the internet nowadays, I guess.
Yeah, you don't know what to believe, who to believe, what to do. So world building wasn't too crazy. The cinematography in this movie wasn't too crazy either. It was kind of,
I think it had decent movement. I think it had pretty good scenes.
I like the camera work when it came to like the little swooping thing. Julie said she hated it. She said she hated the way certain cameras were moving, but I did like how when she was walking up the stairs, the camera like followed her, did this whole wide movement.
Yeah, it had good cinematography. Like it did crazy things like that. Really pushed the idea for some scenes about suspense and things like that. I think where it falls short is like in CGI and stuff, because I think most of the camera work was really done well.
Yeah, the flamingos in the pool were
that the plane coming down looked kind of bad. I know there's more scenes, but like those are the main ones that come to mind, because I mean they probably used all the money there, but like yeah, the CGI here was kind of ass.
I would say so too.
I think the deers also looked kind of weird
in some scenes, yeah, especially when they were like up close and personal too.
Yeah,
that yeah, the CGI was kind of bad. I think they saved a good chunk of it for that. Obviously, the money shot at the end where it's like the city and explosions and whatnot, which that looked pretty good. But yeah, everything else was kind of a little janky. It could have been done just a smidgen better.
I think with camera work, there was a lot of cool stuff going on. Like I like the scene where that swooping one. Yeah, that looked cool. Or when it slowly pans from like them in the basement to like their room and things like that, and it goes through the house. Like I thought that was cool.
And then when they're talking, and then like I think it was one scene where they're in the living room talking, two of them, and then the third one was in the kitchen, and it swoops to them and then it swoops back, kind of thing. I like that too, because they kind of reminded me of like what Paul Anderson does, or W.S. Anderson with Asteroid City and you know all those movies that the camera work where it feels kind of like play, kind of. I felt like he took it to a new form where it felt like that play, but at the same time it was in reality where you just wanted to see everything that was happening. I thought it was cool. I think the camera work in this movie was actually pretty fucking solid. I think if there was something that he really delivered was those things. And like when the head would turn and the camera would move with it, I was like, that's pretty neat. I liked it. It was really centered. It felt nice, and it was a good aesthetic that the director put down for sure. Like I said, plot was simple to me. It wasn't really too crazy. We understood there was something happening, and people had to figure it out. Was it executed properly? In my opinion, not really. I think they really could have went more down. Oh, can we trust each other? And like I said, we've seen it so many times before that this shouldn't have been should we see the aftermath? No, it should have been, okay, let's show them the aftermath. Let's show them something different, something that hasn't happened before. I don't want to see the inner workings of all that stuff. We already know that people aren't going to stay sane. People are going to go off to do whatever they want to do, and you know, uncertainty brings the worst out of people. We already understand all that. They didn't have to make a whole movie based on that.
Why not? We get movies about the other stuff, like the people going into war and things like that. Red Dawn is a good example of normal people coming to the aid and like, you know, military type of battle. That's like a good middle ground. But like what happens to an average family during that kind of thing, I thought that was kind of nice and interesting to see.
It wasn't even an average family. They literally in the beginning of the movie dropped everything and went on vacation. That's literally what happened. They woke up and she was like, I want to go on vacation. He was like, oh, well, you know, he kind of gave a little pushback, and she was like, well, I already did all the folding. I packed all the luggages, so you couldn't have an excuse or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And he was just like, let's go. And then they go. What kind of average family is going to open the door and allow, I don't even care if he says it's his place. How are you just going to allow somebody to walk in the middle of the night? Plot device.
Well, obviously, yeah. They have to be able to get in. The criminals still have to enter the house, so on and so forth. Like,
but they didn't even play it in a proper way where it made you... They played with that suspense for a second, and then they completely just gave you the answer 2 seconds later.
How? The whole thing was that the wife was skeptical and the husband wasn't. And it left you on your toes like damn, what if you gotta believe the wife? And then no, wait, what if they are just average people and the husband's right? I don't see what you're saying.
They showed you that he wasn't that person though. So there was no suspense.
How?
They showed you that he was a nice guy. they basically were like, well, he's not bad. So what is really giving you that suspense?
By then, when he enters,
When he first enters,
yeah,
there was suspense.
yeah.
But then she even goes upstairs and everything. They talk about it for I think it was like the first night they talk about it. It's like, oh, we didn't even see him put the key in or whatever, blah blah blah. And I was like, yeah, that's true. We did not. I was with them for like a good second, and then they pan down. The cool cinematography that you were talking about. They pan down with the camera and they show you the characters, and they're like, no, we're actually not mean. And we're actually allowing them, and the only person that's mean is that girl or whatever, blah 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 blah. All the suspense is gone.
No,
It's not. It's not like what is that movie? What's that movie? With M. Night Shyamalan, the one with the grandma.
One with the grandma.
Yeah.
One with the
Visit or no? I don't know. It's an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
I was like, wait, what?
Well, yeah, you don't watch movies. It's the one with the grandma.
You're watching with your eyes closed, so shut up.
I clearly watch more with them open. It's the one with the grandma. I think it's called Visit or something. And they show up and the grandma's all nice and neat, and we there's a certain suspense there up until obviously it turns out that she's a freakish monster or whatever, but there's a certain suspense there that they didn't let you know what the grandma was up to. They didn't let you know what's going on. They didn't let you know the bad guy's side. The only reason why they let you know the bad guy's side is when they want you to either show how evil they are, or they want you to sympathize with them. As soon as they showed us Mahershala Ali's character and the fact that we're supposed to sympathize with him, it's no longer, oh, he's the villain. And then they try to toy around with, oh no, the white girl's the villain, but at the same time, no, how can you feel bad or feel mad when she just kind of lets it go as well? She lets it go and picks it up whenever she feels like it. She's like, okay, we're gonna have a conversation, and then he says something weird, and she's like, actually, I don't think I like you, actually.
Well, yeah, because I mean, if you're saying heavy shit like that, I'd be skeptical too. I'd be like,
it's not just that scene too. It's multiple scenes where like she's kind of playing coy, and then next thing you know, it's kind of like, you're not so bad guy, I guess.
Well, yeah, because I mean, obviously they're confined. She's gonna be skeptical about people.
How do I say it? That's the thing, is that they tried so hard to play it in a certain angle, it just didn't deliver right. I'm watching it, and I'm just like, I already know this is gonna happen. I already know that all this is gonna be fine. They're trying to give you suspense, but they're not giving you the right kind of suspense. They're not telling you the. In my opinion, they weren't giving out the right. They weren't given the right plot to push these characters into a organic and a satisfying ending arc by the end of the movie. The plot was, I think, so simple to the point where they just needed to figure out how to kill runtime, and there was they tried to do some kind of prisoner slash what's the other movie? It was prisoner slash I would say like that M. Night Shyamalan movie, and I forgot what it's called, man. Visit, whatever. And they try to mix it together and give you that suspense, and it didn't play out that way. And at one point, the daughter goes missing, and you're just like, well, who cares? Because at that point, everything just kind of fell apart. Yeah, you already knew it was gonna fall apart. So at the end of it, you're just like, well, we don't care. They don't care. I don't know.
No.
I didn't really.
You didn't care. No, I cared. I was really into it. What do you call it? When the whole. Because, I don't believe that. I believe that she was just skeptical. And, of course, you're going to feel out strangers. And it's not till you're kind of comfortable and then they say something out of pocket. That's where you're like, okay, too comfortable. And then they pull back. Like, they give you that with her and the daughter. Because, I mean, she was still being spiteful when they were having their conversation or whatever in the kitchen. Things like that. The daughter goes missing, but they had a whole bunch of other crises to attend to. Like with the son. And going to find help, and then by the end of it, yeah, she ends up where they end up. But the mom and the daughter, the mom and Mahershala Ali's daughter, just so I don't confuse the audience, but what do you call it? They end up seeing what's going on, and I mean, yeah, they should still. I think they all kind of end up at that house. That's what they allude to, but I think it was just a moment of like. We got to show them what's going on.
I think the only person that stuck through and through with like her motives the character that she was working with until like the very end, and that's where they got that satisfying resolution, at least with her character, and we'll say the mom too, with Julia Roberts' character and Mahershala Ali's daughter, and that was because through hell and high water she knew that she couldn't trust them, and I think that I give them props for at least giving one of them a stance to stand on instead of being wishy-washy like the rest of everybody, how everybody else was. Mahershala Ali too, his character was kind of unwavering as well. That's what I'm saying. I think he had like the most fulfilling arc. I'm not sure about his daughter 100% if it was fulfilling, but it made sense towards the end.
Well, yeah, because like I said, those two end up working out their differences or whatever. I mean, she kind of saves her from deer. I don't know what the worst thing is about being ganged up by deer, but I mean, I'm assuming that's
they were all just standing there, and then they just started screaming at him.
Well, yeah,
and the deer were just like,
well, yeah, we're
leaving.
Yeah, because the noises or whatever scares them off. We've all seen what do you call it?
Bambi.
No, well, not. I don't think Bambi. No, the Polar Express with that scene where he like yanks on dude's beard.
Yeah,
forces him out the way. So I mean, it's a plausible thing, and like I said, she kind of saves him, and I think that's supposed to be the whole arc.
I like how you try to explain moose science with another movie. You didn't even say, "Oh yeah, I seen this documentary where they like
I mean,
scream at the mooses." And you're like, "No, it's another animated movie screamed at mooses, so we clearly have to believe that screaming at mooses is what you do."
I haven't seen. I don't know if it's actual like fact. We know in movies or whatever they tell you that like
I'm gonna Google that.
Act loud or whatever.
Isn't that with a bear?
Act loud and larger. I think that's with a lot of animals, deer especially. I don't know though. I don't know if it's true. I'm just going by movie logic. It doesn't sound that what do you call it, unplausible to me, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no. I just thought it was funny. I was like, you're not even like quoting a documentary. You're just like, hey, this other movie, it says you should be screaming at deer.
But yeah, no. I think it really kept the idea of the suspense and things like that. There was a whole lot of shit going on that really kept me in with these characters too. Because yeah, no, it had me where it was like yeah, I don't know if I trust them, because the wife was making good points, and then Ethan Hawke was just like, nah, man, they're probably just chill people. It's their house. Like, we shouldn't be that skeptical. Was it right?
Yeah. Apparently, it's all out things will scare them away.
No, I told you. See?
Yeah. If you do banging, screaming, yeah, a little bit. Yeah, screaming or anything like that. Okay. Apparently,
well, there you go.
So, but with this one, there wasn't a lot of. There was obviously no fight scenes. There wasn't anything too crazy. I think like the big money shot that was put in the poster and everything like that, where those, the Teslas smacking all over the place. And I thought that was pretty cool. But then at the same time, you look at it and you're just like, there's so much more road that way, or dirt. Why the fuck are you just swerving them on a 2-lane road? That was just my thing.
That's what I thought too. I was like,
she's like, hold on. And I'm just like, just drive to the side. Just go on that side of the road and wait until they clear out.
That's what I was thinking. But, I mean, that part was all about.
My thing was, another thing too, I was like, so you're telling me they came down, there's so many Teslas there, and then all of them just start darting out of nowhere, but they were driving all the way down here, and they didn't see not one Tesla down this road, where it's like, a Tesla's not even, it doesn't have anybody driving or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, that would have built suspense a little bit more, instead of them just being like, oh, we found all these crashed Teslas. What is this about? And I was like, I already automatically assumed, I was like, oh, the navigation.
Yeah.
Because that's what they were talking about a few minutes prior. I was like, oh, the navigation made all this happen. But then I started thinking, I was like, okay, if navigation made it happen, that means more cars are coming, right? And then sure enough, more cars come. And I was like, well, if more cars are coming, why didn't they see more? Mm-hmm. Why didn't they see them on the way? Why are they driving right at them? Why is she just like, hang on, guys? And then it's just, yeah, it was, that whole scene was a mess. But it was supposed to be like the big money like scene and shit.
Yeah. Elon Musk. I wonder how he felt. He was just like, sure, this whole thing could happen. But
no, he just decided to launch his new Optimus 2.0 robot.
Well, that's what I thought too.
Scary.
I thought that scene was I thought it was really good. Other than the whole, like, obviously dumb people are gonna do dumb things in movies, but it's a lot. That's what I thought too. I was like, oh shit, the navigation, and it has autopilot, and they're manipulating all that. So I thought that was a nice little like scene.
Yeah, that shit was cool. And then I like the scene where the plane comes crashing down and Mahershala Ali basically like runs to the door and like everything kind of like splashes out. That was pretty cool too. I wish they would have kept the camera there for a little bit longer just to see how he got out, but they just kind of like were like, "Oh, that's enough.
You made it out.
That's enough budget for this movie or this part of the movie, I guess." But yeah, I think everything else was pretty much straightforward. I like the ending is what got me, and I want to hear what you got out of the ending. Spoilers for the ending of Leave the World Behind, but we're already in too deep. So
yeah, basically,
tell me,
kind of like,
let me know. Try to give me some clarity here.
Well, what are your questions? I can't just write out the.
Well, I told you what my grievances was, and you didn't really give me the answer.
Okay,
so we by the end of it, we don't know who or what is happening. There's no definitive answer. Correct.
No, yeah, we do.
What's the definitive answer?
It's the U.S. enemies, I guess, like China or whatever.
Okay, so it's not a civil war. They're being oppressed.
No, it's a civil war in the fact that they expected them. This is why Mahershala Ali's character explains it. Same with Kevin Bacon's after the fact. So Kevin Bacon says he tells them that Japan or whatever, they pulled out from the UN or United Nations, and he's been paying attention to the news, and him being the skeptical that he is, he prepared for the worst. Him being the extremist that in this scenario, he's the guy that they expected to, finally start, which he kind of did when people showed up. What was the first thing he did? They backed the fuck up. I'm not sharing shit with y'all. Back up. He was that guy. Mahershala Ali's character says that his little client or whatever, he was a banker for him. So when he told him to move money around, he was just like, "Hey, good luck." Basically, I'm leaving. Good luck. And so what he tells Ethan Hawke's character in the car and his son, who's dying in the back seat, he's like, what they did was they isolated them, kind of like the Dome. They isolated them in the sense of no internet, whatever. That there's this big contingency that would cost so much money that it would be enough to level a civilization or a nation like the United States, because it wasn't just happening on the East Coast like they said, it was happening on the West also. So it was, I'm assuming Japan, all the enemies that the U.S. said they had, or we have, I guess, that we play nice with. They're the ones, they cut communications. They made it look like it was different people, so they didn't know who to target. And then when they cut out everything, they expected humanity to turn on themselves, which they did kind of immediately. We showed that with Kevin Bacon's character.
Yeah.
So that's the Civil War part. They expected them to tear each other apart with no civilness to go about.
I understand that. What about the deer?
I'm assuming the deer were simply for the kid. I'm assuming that was a childlike wonder, if you can agree with me there. As for the flamingos and things like that, that's supposed to be, they said that they were manipulating, that everything going on was manipulating the fucking, the migration patterns. That's why you see birds every once in a while flying in a direction they're not supposed to be going or whatever. So I'm assuming that all played a part there. Because if you're fucking with the airwaves and whatnot, putting out radiation, the animals are going to know something's up.
Okay. Homeboy's teeth falling out and shit like that?
See, I was coming up with a theory for that. And because if Ethan Hawke's character and all them kind of didn't have that problem, I'm assuming he got bit. And because they were putting out all that radiation and things like that, after he got bit, it went in through that wound.
And killed him?
It started killing him from the inside, basically.
That makes sense, too.
Like radiation, like if the radiation waves are a real thing, it went in through his wound or whatever, and that's why it was just killing them slowly. But when they were like Lyme disease, and I was like, Lyme disease makes your teeth fall out? You wouldn't just get that from like a random bug.
Yeah, you would. You can get that from random, from like forced animals and stuff like that. And yeah, it'll kill you, but I don't think that was Lyme disease, because Lyme disease is different, I think. If I remember correctly.
Yeah, they were trying to rationalize it, and I'm assuming it was a mix of.
And I understood that. That they're not
radiation.
doctors. They weren't gonna know exactly what the fuck is wrong with him. He just wanted to kind of like get something to help. So that kind of made sense. But see, they didn't really clarify all that. And like, I understand like that's how you're rationalizing it, but they put so much doubt even at the end of the movie, because even Kevin Bacon said like, I don't know, like this is not right. It's not normal. It's not what people usually do. He alluded to certain things, but they didn't really, give a definitive answer.
Oh yeah, no, Mahershala Ali's character breaks it down to Ethan Hawke's character.
No, yeah, he talks about it. Yeah, he talks about it with the girl too, and that's what they assume that is supposed to be happening. Kind of like in the beginning when the deer was coming through, people were kind of assuming it was like, because at first you thought it was like aliens and shit like that, right? Mm-hmm. You thought it was like aliens or maybe the government, that like how they were saying. And then the boat kind of washes up on shore, and you're just like, is it government? Is it alien? I think that was the first two things that we were toying with in the beginning. And then it goes on, and it's like, no, it's kind of leaning towards government a little bit. But then it's like, well, government wouldn't do this. People wouldn't do this. This is something else hitting us. And then it's like, no, actually, it's probably government. Actually, it's government that's trying to make people do it on their own. And then they go through all these different obstacles. So at the end of the movie, not really give you a definitive answer.
No, I think it gives definitive answers.
And I think that, what do you call it? And I think the fact that they were trying to add so much mystery into it, and like this extra layer of nuance where it's like, oh yeah, like how we were talking about earlier, where it's like, oh yeah, this is not just another family that we don't know, but this is a black family. And then, oh no, this is a white family. Like adding that extra layer to it, like I understand that's real life tension, and that could probably actually be a factor into certain things.
Yeah.
But if that was the case, why didn't we dive into something like that? Why didn't we dive deeper into that? Why didn't we, show the implosion of them in real time? Instead, they kind of played with, oh, no, we're doing fine. Oh, no, we're not doing fine. No, yeah, no, we're fine. Oh, now she wants to bang him. It's like, what? What? Yeah, Julia Roberts' character wanted to bang Mahershala Ali. She was like, we're married. We're married. He didn't even say anything. He's worried about his own damn wife. You over here trying to get your rocks off while your man's over there. Dirty.
Yeah, no, I thought that was dumb.
I thought playing on that was kind of weird. I thought at first it was just going to be like a friendly relationship, but then he didn't even reciprocate. And I was just like, well, that's awkward now. And then they kind of just like pushed past that moment. But I was just like, well, yeah, no, that didn't really need to be in there either. That was kind of like my one thing too. But other than that, I don't really think this movie... It's a streaming movie, and I've been noticing these patterns that streaming, unless it's like a really good director or something who is really putting some passion into it, they're really pretty much straightforward with half this stuff. And I think a good chunk of the reason why most of them are straightforward is budget reasons. They're like, well, we can't do anything crazy, too big spectacle with this when most of the money is going to Rebel Moon, goddammit, and like Army of the Dead. It's like, I think Netflix really hinders a lot of these movies, and I think a lot of the story gets hurt because of the fact that they can't do certain things. Because if they would have showed a little bit more of the outside world, like the fact that they played with that, the lady, oh, I haven't seen anybody in forever, blah, 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 blah. He kind of just leaves her, and then they don't play on that anymore. They kind of just left it alone. Even when he was driving back, they didn't even care to even show her again running down the road like, oh, something's bad's gonna happen or something, and they just kind of cut to black when the red papers come to him. Like, what happened to that lady? Did he not go back? And he's all crying later on. Oh, I just left her. It's like, you left her in that direction, and then you turned around and came back the same direction as her. You didn't like put her in the truck and was like, come on, let's just get out of here.
No, I felt that was necessary, because if I left someone on the road who kind of needed my help, I wouldn't want to bring that up either.
Well, he brought it up. He told them, but
he brought it up to the daughter.
Yeah,
and that's when but that's something he was probably struggling with. And
I'm talking about the actual scene. Like, a second he left her, he ran away, he turns around because the plane's coming and the papers are falling, and then they don't even show like what happens to that lady. They don't show what happens to him. They just kind of cut to black for the sake of suspense. But it's like, that didn't need to be suspenseful. It would have been suspenseful if you would have showed us what the fuck was coming down the thing, and not try to make it this big reveal later on. That would have felt like you were feeding us.
That's all part of suspense.
No, you could easily give us that piece of information and keep us stringing along with information. That's that corner shit where it's like, come here, we're gonna tell you something. I was thinking it was like particles or something that was killing people, but it turned out to just be a paper. He just kind of pulled it out later on, very secretly, and not immediately either. Kind of pulls it out later on. It's like, yeah, this fell from the sky. It's like, why didn't you tell us that almost immediately when you walked through the door? He goes on this whole tangent, freaking out and everything. At the very end, he's like, for the sake of suspense.
Well, yeah, because he was freaking the fuck out.
That would have been the first thing. Oh my god, things were falling from the sky. This paper fell from the sky. This will probably help us tell us what the fuck is going on. It just, they did things for the sake of suspense that didn't really play out. Like they strung it along, they dragged it along, and just to be like, well, this is where it ends. This is it.
No, I don't think so.
I don't know, man. But I guess, closing thoughts, and then from 1 to 10, 10 being the best.
No, I want you to go first.
I don't want to go first.
Yeah,
I don't want to influence your answer.
That's not fair. Because I already know you're gonna give us some bullshit score.
I'm not gonna give it. Well, okay. Let me ask you something. Why would you be bothered about a bullshit score on a Netflix movie?
Because
it's not.
It's something I like, and I know I already know it's coming. It's there. You're probably gonna give it like a 6 or something, and I just know. I know it. Whether because it's streaming or all those things like that, I know it's coming. So it's kind of like I want to hear it first.
Okay, streaming is a big deal. Okay, I think I've told you before. You can really tell a feel from a streaming movie and a blockbuster movie or like a theater movie, right? When you watch Blue Beetle, you kind of felt like it was a streaming movie, right? When I watched The Killer, that one felt like it wanted to be blockbuster, but then there was something holding it back that screamed streaming movie. This one screamed, this is the suspenseful version of You People. I'm going to elaborate. You People is a Netflix movie. It has Jonah Hill in it. It's a terrible movie. Don't watch it. At the end of it, there's a CGI kiss that you guys don't really want to bother yourself with. But You People tried to be super funny and tried its best, like really tried hard. So hard that it just fell flat. This movie did the same thing. It tried to be super suspenseful. It tried to, create suspense where suspense really was right there, but they were just like overlooking it because they just wanted a bigger reveal. And they're like, oh yeah, if we make them sit in their seats for 2 seconds longer, there's going to be a bigger reveal. No, there's some times where, fast, quick, and, deliver the information quick will give you a lot more suspense because it'll give you breathing time for that next suspense that's going to happen. Whereas this one was like, we have the suspense here, but let's just drag it on for a couple more seconds just so they could really feel it. And I felt like there was a lot of scenes in here where they were like, oh yeah, we're going to put this in just for the sake of suspense. Just for the sake to be like, oh yeah, we're going to keep you guys at the edge of your seat and just have you follow. This movie was not the worst movie that I've seen, but it's for like somebody with Mahershala Ali in there and everything was a surprise that he even picked this movie up because and even seeing the critic score, I'm just like, man, how did they give it so high? But I give it a solid 5. Not a 4.5, nothing like that. I was thinking about it, but I think the actors themselves really carried this movie. I think Mahershala Ali's character carried this movie. I think Julia Roberts really did her part in this one. Ethan Hawke. The plot was super simple. The premise of it was something that could have been explored deeper, and we could have had a better resolution and a better understanding of whatever was happening. But these Netflix movies where they just want to greenlight them and just say, "Hey, man, like this is what we're going for," and they just kind of give them the keys and just say, "Hey, go for it." It's like, nah, man, maybe you should get a little bit more eye behind the camera because though the camera work was great too. I really enjoyed the camera work. Like, if there's any reason why I would go back to watch this movie is probably because a lot of the camera work was really fun. I felt like it was a roller coaster, like with certain scenes, how we were going up and down and going around, and the whole Tesla scene with the freeway where it kind of like goes angled this way, horizontal or vertical or whatever the fuck, and you see the whole road and all the Teslas being smashed to the city. The suspense, I personally like the suspenseful part where the boat, where like slowly the daughter's just like, oh, the boat's getting closer. Oh look, there goes the boat. It's getting even, it's almost here. And then, eventually it crashes and they got to move out of the way. But those are where like suspense was done right. And then there were certain scenes where like suspense was just done horribly wrong. What'd you think?
See, I knew it. No, well, I liked it. I actually really enjoyed this movie. This is kind of like, now I know exactly how you felt when I gave, what's that fucking movie? A love score.
Asteroid City?
Asteroid
Fuck
City.
you.
See? You see what I'm saying? What do you call it? But now I understand because you're smoking crack. I really like this movie. Like, it was, for me, the suspense was there, the acting was there, the characters were all pretty good for the most part. The only thing I can give it, bad CGI. It did kind of feel dragged on a little bit for a few scenes. Other ideas could have been explored for sure, but then, that comes with the movie. That comes with any movie, I think. I give it like an 8 out of 10. I really like this movie.
Oh damn! I thought you were gonna get it like a little bit more.
No,
why you give it an 8 if it's such a good movie?
Well, no, it's good, but there's other, like I said.
So what are your gripes? Because I don't think you said any gripes.
CGI.
Yeah.
Like I said, some characters I didn't really care for. Like, I didn't really care for Mahershala Ali's daughter. I understand she gets a whole arc and stuff.
Okay,
but I didn't like that she was just being a bitch for being for kind of no reason other than racism. Like I thought that was kind of dumb.
She lost her mother.
She was being hopeful that she wasn't. And I understand Mahershala Ali, he was being a bigger, like, his character was so much better because he was bearing that burden of, like, trying to keep that optimism, but he knew she was gone.
Yeah.
So, like, again, props to him again. I didn't really like like I said, I didn't really care for the son of the daughter of Ethan Hawke's character. For those two, I was kind of like, okay, fine. They're off doing their own endeavors, but, again, we don't know if he dies or not. She gets her happy ending. Good for her. Personally, I would not have risked anyone's life to watch Friends season finale, so I didn't really care for them. And all I really cared for were the big actors on screen, which I don't know if Mahershala Ali's daughter, if she's a big name actress or not. She probably needs more work if that's the case. But like Ethan Hawke, his wife, the chick who plays his wife, Mahershala Ali, and then even Kevin Bacon at the end, really good performances here. But overall, that doesn't really stop me from like enjoying this movie. It does have a very like long runtime because I did feel it at certain scenes. But that's about it. That's why 8 out of 10.
Yeah, there is a good. I think a runtime is a big thing with this movie because I think if they would have cut down some stuff, it would have probably flowed a little bit smoother.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Because there was a couple scenes. I would say there was at least a couple things that could have been cut down just a little bit. Like that was another thing too. I think that was another question. Thinking about it before we like wrap this up is that whole shed where somebody was laying down in there. That just led to nowhere. They're like, oh yeah, look. I wonder who sleeps here. And they're like, oh, they just stare at that house. But who slept there? They didn't even like talked about that, did they? Do you remember?
No, I thought that was kind of weird too. Because I was like, this is a random shed that they decided to check out. I understand being a curious kid and going to check shit out. But I guess for movie purposes, it does have to kind of make sense. But
yeah, I thought they were going to allude to Kevin Bacon's character. That's why I thought he was going to be... That's why I thought he was going to be a more prominent role. Because when I seen that, I was like, okay, maybe he was the hermit who was like paying attention. I think towards the end of the movie, I was thinking about it. I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe he was the guy... trying to be so prepared. If that was the same house, maybe he was coming around. I think
this was a book.
Yeah.
So I think maybe there's a significance of the cabin in the book, but the movie just couldn't explore it. But the people who read the book were like, "Hey, that's the shed from the book." Like,
damn. I guess that's where you got to like advocate for reading the book because sometimes the movies don't put it in there. Either which way, I mean, do you have any more to say about this movie? It was pretty straightforward, I think.
Well, yeah. It led to, like, very complex scenes and things like that, too, between the actors and stuff.
The camera work was crazy. 100%. Like, if there's something that I praise this movie for, is the camera work. 100%. I know. I remember I, like, was watching that movie, and I was like, damn, like, the way he's, like, swerving it through, like, it was so smooth. I was like, man, the rigs must have been insane for this movie. I want to see the BTS on these movies because it's, like... I want to see how like the rigs were set up and how they basically walk through.
That's the one thing I really have a problem with, like Netflix. I guess they don't like release bloopers or nothing like that. Like that would be so cool.
Yeah, that would have been nice. Like some, YouTube has them usually.
Yeah,
somebody always puts them on YouTube. Whenever I want to like find some BTS for like a Netflix movie, it's usually on YouTube. I don't know where they get them from.
Okay, well, that's probably where they put them up. But like, I'd want to see like maybe a good 10 minutes of bloopers or behind the scenes on Netflix. You know, like how DVDs have.
Yeah,
like that'd be cool. Like I don't see why they do that. Why they don't do that. And then you get people like Disney who kind of milk the fuck out of it.
Haha. we're all gonna laugh because I messed up my racism line. Either which way, I can't wait to do more reviews with you, man. Even though we don't agree with everything, you know.
For the most part, yeah.
It's nice to not agree, and this is where it kind of shows you too, where like, you know, our tastes in movies are different. I'd be happy when you be liking my movies, but then yeah, when you don't like the movies that I recommend, it makes me shake my fist because I'm just like, why is this dude so dumb? Like
That's how I feel right now.
I know,
Like I was really hyping this movie up, and the fact that you didn't like it was like it has to be a me thing at this point.
No,
I really like that shit.
No, because there's some movies that you brought up, and I'm like, this is pretty good. Not all of them, some of them. Man, I have those movies too, bro. I have like Battleship on my list, and you're like, why are you watching Battleship? And I'm like, I fucking enjoy Battleship, and you're just like, oh, I don't like Battleship.
Well, yeah, that's because Battleship is an odd one, man.
Yeah, you shitted on Battleship hella hard the day I was watching it. You're
well,
like,
yeah, because you're
like, why'd you pop this in? I'm like, dude, this is just a movie.
Rans was bored. No,
I like it.
Wanted to watch when Hasbro was trying to dominate the box office.
I like seeing Riri. Okay.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot she was in that movie.
Yeah.
That's so funny. But yeah, see, it happens, and then I'm just like, man, fuck. This review's gonna be like, like that's the first thing that comes to my mind when I ask you, like, hey, what'd you think? And you're kind of like, and I'm like, fuck.
I know. It's because if I don't have nothing to say, you're kind of like, well,
yeah, yeah. It's always funny because off pod, it's always a different conversation. For everybody else, it's fruitful and whatnot, but like when we decide to like drop the mics, it's kind of just like, well, I don't really know if I liked it. That's funny.
I think we could be honest. Even like how we said when we did the Marvels review, like go check that out. You guys want to check it out? But the Marvels review, like we came out of the theater and we were just sitting there, we're just like, oh fuck, what the fuck?
Like that wasn't good.
I think Shazam 2 was like one of our first reviews too, like because Black Adam was our like very first review, and even when we didn't like it, I think we kind of came into our own because starting with that like Shazam review, when we left that theater, we were like talking about it and we were like, yeah, you know, it wasn't, there was X, Y, and Z. And then when we watched a really bad movie like The Flash, we were just like,
we like left the theater.
What do we even say to each other?
I was so mad. I remember I was so mad. Like well, you guys will hear about all of this when we do our 2023 like ranking. But like I was, you remember I left The Flash mad. I was like upset. I was so mad.
Yeah, look out for those. We're gonna be in the beginning of the new year. I know this is we're close to the end of the month, so just to give you guys a little bit of tidbit and what to expect with the new year, we will be giving out our top 10. But that will be coming after New Year's, just to let you guys know. And we're also gonna be doing a top 10 worst. Or top 5 worst movies of 2023 as well. So keep an eye out for those. If there's any movies that you guys want us to review, if there's anything that you guys want us to talk about, if you guys want to catch it live one day or maybe support us in a big way, Josh, go ahead.
Twitter, TikTok, Instagram at FilmBros Podcast. We post new episodes or we get us up there for any news or movies you want us to cover. Support us in a big way. Buzzsprout link is in the bios of the socials I just gave you. Special thanks to those who do subscribe on episodes. So we recognize you for helping us out. And you grow our channel, and you get special perks on the side, just for those who help us out. Listen to us anywhere you get your podcasts at FilmBros Podcast, Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Podcasts, things like that. We're on a bunch of sites. Check us out. Subscribe to our YouTube at FilmBros Podcast, and then be a part of the conversation every Saturday and throughout the week at FilmBros Podcast on Twitch.
Yeah, and if you guys made it to this part of the episode, go ahead and leave a star, leave a review wherever you guys are listening. Subscribe, do all that good stuff, and we'll talk to you guys on the next one.
Talk to you guys later.